Tashtilek, welcome to Tibet this week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's have a look at today's headline. His Holiness the Dalai Lama arrives in Bodh, Gaya. Former Tibetan political prisoner passes away. Central Tibetan Administration welcomes introduction of Resolve Tibet Act in US Senate. Sikyong addresses Bharat Tibet Sangh's National Working Committee meet. Canadian Parliament passes motion endorsing middle way approach. Sikyong extends gratitude to Canadian MP Garnett. 15 legislators call on their governments to sanction firms abetting People's Republic of China's mass DNA collection campaign. U.S. Congressional-Executive Commission on China inquires ThermoFisher scientific involvements in People's Republic of China's mass DNA collection in Tibet. Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C. holds Sino-Tibet youth interaction. Representative Singey urges Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong to raise Tibet in Beijing. Tibet Solidarity Movement enters a decade of demonstration. His Holiness the Dalai Lama paid a visit to Bodh Temple in Bodh, Gaya this morning. Upon his arrival in village yesterday, His Holiness was welcomed by thousands of devotees who have arrived there from different places around the world. Bodh Gaya, a village in northeast India, is one of the most important Buddhist pilgrimage sites, including the Bodh Temple that has been built to mark the site where Lord Buddha attained enlightenment. His Holiness is scheduled to give a 3-day teaching at the end of this month that will be followed by a long life prayer offerings by the Gelug Tibetan Buddhist tradition. His Holiness the Dalai Lama left Dharamshala for Delhi on Monday this week. Upon an invitation from Salwan Education Trust, His Holiness visited Salwan Public School in Gurgaon, where His Holiness interacted with around 5,000 students on educating heart and mind and bringing an effective change in the modern education system, taking inspiration from the ancient Indian knowledge of ahimsa and karuna. Once again, His Holiness the Dalai Lama lauded India's traditional knowledge for its rich understanding of the workings of the mind and reaffirmed his commitment to reviving this knowledge and encouraged the people of India, especially the younger generation, to promote the same.
Of course, I am fully committed to promote religious harmony. I respect all different religions, inspired in different philosophy. I respect all carry warm-heartedness, message of warm-heartedness. Now, however, deeper level, India's spiritual tradition, very deep. So, young Indian should pay more attention about different level of consciousness, and at a different level of consciousness, different way to practice. These are Indian tradition.
A former Tibetan political prisoner, monk Agil Sering, passed away on 18 December in Tibet. He was 71 years old. On 8 March 1990, he was initially arrested by the Chinese police in Kegudo in Tibet. He was later imprisoned for 18 months on suspicion of distributing books containing His Holiness the Dalai Lama's lectures and speeches and disseminating leaflets calling for Tibet's independence. While in prison, he endured multiple torturous ordeals. On 24 October 1999, he was arrested again in Kardze with 2 other monks, Geshe Sonam Pinzo and Sonam Chumpil. Few days later, on 31 October, around 3,000 Tibetan citizens held a peaceful protest in Kardze and demanded the release of the 3 monks. The Chinese government responded by deploying police forces who fired shots into the crowd and arresting at least 80 Tibetans. Agil Sering was sentenced to 3 years of imprisonment after the incident. Agil Sering was born in 1952 in the village of Rongbat Sajori in Kardze. the traditional province of Kham. Also known by the names of Lama Lobsang, Abu Agel, or Lobsang Tenzin, he was a monk at Teho Targe Monastery and was also known for his social work. The Central Tibetan Administration welcomed the introduction of the bipartisan resolution in the U.S. Senate calling for promoting a resolution to Tibet-China conflict. The resolution was introduced by the Senator Jeff Markley, co-chair of the Congressional-Executive Commission on China, Senator Todd Young, a member of the Senator Foreign Relations Committee, and Senator Patrick Lie, a longtime supporter of Tibet and a dear friend of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, on Tuesday this week. Sikyong of the Central Tibetan Administration thanked the senators for introducing the resolution and urged the members of the U.S. Congress to support and endorse the successful passage of the bill through both houses of Congress and from the President's desk. Representative Namgyal Chutup of the Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C., has been quoted saying this bill would allow the U.S. to back its consistent calls for dialogue with more force and urgency while reviving a renewed sense of hope to Tibetans in Tibet. The spokesperson for the Central Tibetan Administration, Tenzin Lekshe, welcomed this move from the U.S. Senate. The resolution calls for respecting Tibetan people's right to self-determination and recognizes the conflict between Tibet and the People's Republic of China as an unresolved conflict according to the international law.
It has sent a clear message to Chinese leaders, and we urge that the Congress will pass through this bill and make into the law with the consent of the US President. And we thank all the US congressmen for the support and solidarity for the cause of Tibet. Thank you.
The legislation endorses the middle way approach as a viable solution to Sino-Tibet conflict to establish genuine autonomy for the Tibetan people within the framework of the Constitution of the People's Republic of China. This resolution has been introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives in July this year by Representative Jim McGowan. On Saturday last week, Sikyong attended the inaugural of the two-day National Working Committee seminar organized by the Bharat Tibet Sangh in collaboration with the Department of Buddhist Studies of University of Jammu in Jammu. Sikyong, who was invited as the chief guest along with a special guest, retired Major General Nilendra Kumar, National Vice President of the Bharat Tibet Sangh, presided over the press conference with journalists from around 20 media houses. The two shared their respective views on the recent border intrusion in Arunachal and expressed their concerns on India's security when answering the medias.
Yes, now every Indian starts rethinking. The memories of 1962 was brought back. So you're opening an old scar, an old wound, and that will take time to heal. And if it continues like this, it's not going to help Asia, it's not going to help the world. It's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help China the most.
Attendees of the two-day National Working Committee seminar consist members of Bharat Tibet Sangh from Arunachal Pradesh, Chandigarh, Gujarat, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Punjab, Rajasthan, Sikkim and Uttarakhand, along with the students and facilitators from the university and others. On Tuesday this week, Sikyong of the Central Tibetan Administration wrote to Canadian MP Garnett Jr., extending him gratitude for introducing the motion and achieving unanimous support in the Parliament in the passage of motion endorsing Tibet's middle way approach and supporting the resumption of the dialogue between Tibetan representatives and the Chinese government. A group of legislators from 15 legislatures globally have called on their respective governments to investigate and suspend commercial activities with companies providing the PRC government with technologies to carry out biometric surveillance in the Uyghur region, Tibet and elsewhere in the PRC, including the PRC state-backed BGI Group and US firm ThermoFisher. Concerned by the sales of the DNA kits and sequencers to Chinese police in the so-called Tibetan Autonomous Region, the U.S. Congressional-Executive Commission on China sent a bipartisan letter to the CEO, Mark Casper of the ThermoFisher Scientific, an American supplier of scientific instrumentation, to inquire his company's knowledge and involvement in the supplies of the DNA sequencers to police in the so-called Tibetan Autonomous Region, who employed them for mass involuntary collection of DNA samples from Tibetans, including children who are subjected to brutal campaigns of repression. The letter requesting ThermoFisher's consideration of implementing a ban on their sales to China was undersigned by Senator Jeffrey A. Merkley, Representative James P. McGovern, Senator Marco Rubio, and Representative Christopher H. Smith. As part of the ongoing outreach initiative to the Chinese students in particular and the larger Chinese community in general, the Office of Tibet Washington organized a Sino-Tibet youth interaction at Tibet House in New York City on Saturday. Representative Namgye Chudup and former Chinese liaison officer Kungatashi joined the event, attended by the Chinese activist and scholar Dr. Teng Bao and Frau Fengshuo, who shared their perspectives with around 80 youth participants. The participants discussed Chinese politics and the future of Tibet, including shifts in perceiving China, youth involvement in white paper revolution both in China and abroad, middle way approach and Tibetans' right to self-determination. Tsultrim Gyatso, Chinese liaison officer from Office of Tibet, moderated the event and urged more involvement from both communities in the light of changing China while the Tibetan issue remains unresolved. Representative Kama Singey of Office of Tibet in Canberra wrote to Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong on the eve of her visit to China, urging her to raise the Tibet issue with her counterpart Wang Yi and other Chinese Communist Party leaders. In a letter, the representative wished success to foreign ministers' week-long official engagements in Beijing and requested to raise the Tibet issue in the strongest terms possible in her interaction with the Chinese counterpart Wang Yi and other Chinese Communist Party leaders. Similarly, the Australia-Tibet Council also wrote a letter to the foreign minister reasserting a similar request made by the Office of Tibet. The Tibet Solidarity Movement Group marked the milestone of completing a decade of uninterrupted solidarity demonstration in front of the UN building in Geneva. The Tibet Solidarity Movement was started by 5 Swiss-based Tibetan families in November 2011 to stand in solidarity with the Tibetans who continue to undergo repression in Tibet. The movement started its demonstration in front of the UN building in Geneva on 10 December 2012. Since then, they have gathered in front of the UN building in Geneva every second Wednesday of each month for a decade now, with banners detailing the human rights violations in Tibet, bordered on 3 sides by the Tibetan national flags and flags of Switzerland and European Union. Representative Tille Chuiki, accompanied by Kalden Somo of the Tibet Bureau in Geneva, visited the demonstration site to acknowledge and express appreciation to the members of Tibet Solidarity Movement Group. That's all for this week. See you in the next episode and have a wonderful weekend.